All right, so it's an interesting time right now because we have this awesome new head of media putting out content for us, and it's professional, and then that creates buzz, and then people have been reaching out more and more often now for internships, jobs, my own clients being like, oh man, you guys are growing, this is awesome. And I get asked, like, how did you become successful? Or how can I be successful in the fitness industry from younger people? And I find it really interesting because my business over the last 4 years has grown over 30% a year. Everything's been going well. And then all of a sudden, the perception of the market changes as if I finally arrived, or if I finally hit what other people determine as success for me. And I wanted to kind of talk about, I guess, my own philosophies or the way that I think about success, because I think it's valuable for people getting into a career. I know even people that I know who leave their careers, they leave their corporate jobs because they want to be successful in something else that's more fun, that they're more passionate about. And I don't think many people take the time to sit and reflect on what that word means. They let other people define it for them. Do you want your business to be successful in person? Do you want it successful remotely? Do you want to lecture? Do you want to do one-on-one work? Do you want to work with groups? Do you want to work with athletes? Do you want to work with body comp people? Is it about the money that you're making or the people that you're around? All of these variables determine whether you can call yourself successful or whether other people are going to perceive you as successful. So, I think some of the common things that people are perceiving as successful for me is, like, I have the trust of some high-level athletes. So people are like, well, he must be successful if, Noah Olson and Travis Mayer and Aaron Hanna and all these people are trusting him. He must know what he's talking about. He must be successful. I need to figure out how he earned that. Or popularity, which, again, this is probably more of a function of now social media and YouTube and all of these platforms that we're engaging in to make sure that we're more visible. And then people are like, oh, you're more popular, so you're successful. Having the ability to solve the fitness equation for yourself. So I think we see this in the fitness market. Somebody could be really lean, maybe even naturally lean, or sometimes they're taking drugs or whatever the case is, but they've solved the equation for themselves, that they're fit or they're lean or shredded, or they won the CrossFit Games or whatever that is to you with regards to fitness. Like, does somebody attain that? Are they successful? Respect of a peer group. So it seems that every community you go into, it starts out in high school, there's an in crowd. Like, there's a group of cool people that people want to be a part of. They want to be associated with. And as we kind of get into what we're calling this is the fitness world, the fitness sphere, there's a group of people that are famous or that are really wealthy or have figured it out that people aspire to and look up to. For me, that's just a strange concept because I've never really fit in. I mean, I was a pretty high level athlete, but I wasn't necessarily a jock, and I had nerdy and artistic friends. I, was pretty good in school, but I didn't really take school seriously because I thought school was boring and I didn't really want to learn it. I almost, got kicked out of high school because I didn't take my school that seriously. So trying to fit in because other people have something is weird for me. Even if somebody does have something that I want, I think of them more as competition than I think of them as somebody that I want to be friendly with. But that's a barometer that some people use for success. They get to hang out with the cool kids. Knowledge, so you read certain books or you've taken certain courses, and then people come in to call themselves successful because they've gotten, they have a PhD or they've taken a CSCS or they know about niche educators in the industry like Ido Portal or Andrea Spina or DNS, or they found the secret knowledge. Do you want your business to be successful in person? Do you want it successful remotely? Do you want to lecture? Do you want to do one-on-one work? Do you want to work with groups? Do you want to work with athletes? Do you want to work with body comp people who are in shape or body comp people who are really obese and out of shape? Is it about the money that you're making or the people that you're around? All of these variables, I think, determine whether you can call yourself successful or whether other people are going to perceive you as successful. And I think I heard a quote that said, getting older is finally knowing what you want. And I think the longer that I've lived, I realized that this is really true for happiness. Like, you're never really going to find whatever you call as happiness or fulfillment or peace if you don't really know what you want. If you're just constantly chasing what you think you want, you're constantly stuck in this engagement process of striving to attain something that you don't even know is going to make you happy. And I think a lot of people, they finally get to that point and it's not what they thought it was. I know a lot of really famous people or movie stars are addicted to drugs, or there's suicide rates, and there's huge problems with regards to the people that finally have attained the things that we put on a pedestal. So I thought it was important, if I do have a platform to talk to people, and I do want people to be successful in the fitness industry, I do want intelligent minds to get into this industry and start hammering the ability to figure out how we can get people to prioritize their bodily and mental health, and how we can help athletes perform at the highest level, but still maintain self-concepts that after they finish their athletics, they still are engaged in life and connected and feel a part of their communities. And to me, that's a really, really important mission of my business, is making sure that I'm talking about these concepts. And now that people are asking me for my thoughts on these types of issues, I kind of wanted to go into what I have done to get what other people have perceived of as successful. It's funny because I think as I talk about it, you'll realize that my success is not really a destination. It's not some place that I think I even am now. It's just a process that I'm trying to achieve on a day-to-day basis. And the net effect of doing that every single day is that you accumulate things and good people around you, and people want to be a part of what you're doing because they believe in your vision and your message, and they add to your vision and message, and eventually it becomes a team of people that are doing things. And that in and of itself is what creates the growth of the business and the growth of the ideas. And so for me, that process has been what built success, not necessarily what I was striving for that I called success when I first started. So I think the first thing that I want to admit is that I'm a workaholic, and everything with regards to my life, my relationships, my food, my training, all of it is to ensure that my business vision is continually met and that I always have something to work on. I don't like idle time. I don't like small talk. When I go out into the gym floor, I put my music on. I'm testing out training methods. I'm trying to train. I'm trying to talk smack. I'm observing the environment. I'm trying to figure out what I could do better. If I need to train harder, do I need to be able to push myself more to earn the respect of my team? There's always a purpose and an intention behind what I'm doing there. So if I know that with regards to myself, I know I need to read, I know I need to get better at things, I know I need to make sure that the business is growing so that I can hire the next people to come in and teach me new things, then part of my version of success is constantly having something on my plate to work on, which I think is opposite of how a lot of people I know think. They want to be successful so that they can be lazy and do nothing. I know what happens to me if I'm lazy and do nothing, and I don't like the person that I become if I have nothing to do. So part of my version of success is to be busy. I like to be busy, but I want the busyness to actually be something that's meaningful to me, not just filling my day-to-day work with mundane tasks. So how do I do that? By making sure I'm networking with people that I think are important, surrounding myself with a team, continually training, finding new athletes that want to trust me, and continually pushing myself so that I get more opportunities so that I stay engaged in the process of life and work. I was reading a book right now by the creator of Dilbert, Scott Adams, and he says that goal-oriented people are stuck in pre-success failure all the time. And I realized this, I'm reading the book now and it just resonated with me as a quote, because I know as a young kid, I would say, I want to get a job with Goldman Sachs, or I want to win states, or I want to get a Division I scholarship. And I put those things up and I realized pretty early on that until I attained those, I was always a loser because I didn't have the thing that I wanted. In my own perception, I mean, other people thought I was a great athlete and thought things were going well and they were amazed with my work ethic. But to me, I felt like a loser because I didn't have the thing that I was striving for. And after not attaining a lot of the things that I wanted to attain, I realized, man, I'm just living my life in a really miserable state because I haven't achieved at the level that I wanted to achieve. Now, some of that is setting unrealistic expectations on myself, and some of that is just making the entire focus of my life goal-oriented. So switching to a process orientation was really helpful for me with regards to making sure that my career moves forward in the way that I want it to move. My second is testing new protocols. I don't like to be stagnant. So in order to test new protocols, I need to be at a certain level of physical health, well-being, strength levels, movement quality. I need my pain to be at a certain level. I need to be, sleeping, taking care of my lifestyle, and I need to be surrounded with creative, intelligent people that come up with new protocols because they can't always come from my own head. So that has allowed me to perceive the importance of surrounding myself with great coaches and great minds and people that want to be engaged and people from other fields and other sports that think about this in a different way. So I think that just is about team building. A lot of people that want to get into, I think, a famous or high money state, they want to feel superior and they want to be looked up at. They want to be the gods of their organization. I want my organization to be friends with me. And I know the cheesy quote, like, you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if I'm spending time with 4 or 5 people who are all worse than me, how am I going to get any better? So one of the major things that I think about with regards to hiring and building a business and bringing people on is this person going to have the work ethic and the creative talent and the mind to push themselves, to push me harder so that we could do something meaningful in the market? I think the third point is surround myself with great people. That is part of testing new protocols. So these things all kind of wrap together in my view of success in the fitness business, but you could probably translate this into any field, family building, business building, doing well in school. I think all of these would be kind of good models for just life in general if you wanted to term what the appropriate word of success is or what a successful life is. At least that's where I'm at now in my head. The fourth thing is training time. I worked really hard to get this business off the ground. I was working a full-time job, doing this on the side. I had 60-something clients, and that just ate me up. I didn't have any time to take care of myself. The business was growing, so people were like, oh man, this is awesome. And then in my head, I felt like a charlatan because I'm like, well, right now I'm prioritizing money and business over my own health and well-being, which is the complete opposite of what I should be doing if I'm a fitness expert. So not only am I lying to them, but I'm lying to myself. So one of the major missions that actually made my work ethic harder and reinforced a greater desire to work harder was that I could earn my time and earn the freedom to do what I wanted with my time. And ironically, what I do with my free time is train, read, relax, every once in a while going on Netflix and watching something and calming my mind and making sure that I have the cognitive resources to be able to put myself into the state that I need to train intensely and to compete and to go out on the floor and pay attention to my athletes and deal with them when they're in stressful situations. So one of the aspects of success to me is being able to own my time and be free with my time and give that same opportunity to the people that work for me. I don't think that I am going to let money dictate that for me. I don't think money buys happiness. In some ways, it does buy a little bit of freedom for you to do your own schedule. But that's pretty much as far as it goes for me. 5 is let life over time teach me to be more aware. I think that just happens if you're surrounded by people and you're building relationships. You're constantly challenged to be better and think about things differently and be empathetic. And that's important for me. It's an important aspect of success for me to make sure that when I wake up tomorrow, I'm like, you know what, I'm a better person. It's a very hard thing to define, but I've been striving my whole life to try to define that word for myself. And I think because I've done that and have allowed my line of questioning to my athletes and to the people around me, I've helped other people cultivate their own self-awareness. And I think eventually when people become more self-aware and they perceive that you're a catalyst for them to do that, they value that relationship, whether or not you're saying things that offend them or not. Just having a perspective that's unique and who's willing to be honest, I think is a valuable thing. And then the last thing that I have is more of a legacy building thing. I've always perceived that the people that are remembered throughout history are people that were supremely useful. They were high-level artists that were useful in being able to create emotional states and help societies deal with sorrow or help people think about a better tomorrow, or they were tremendous leaders who could even go to war and conquest and bring people together and build these massive empires. And I think in my mind, I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm in the fitness industry. It's not like I'm going to freaking take over the world, and I don't want to because I, value my time too much, but I want to be useful. And how do I be useful? I be useful by making sure my team is supportive of my ideas, making sure that my athletes listen to me, making sure that the public values my ideas. If they don't, I have to change, and I have to change to make sure that I'm useful. So by being engaged in my business and in my organization and striving to make sure that I'm useful, then my business inherently becomes more successful over time because I am morphing to support its growth and my utility in the public market and in the sphere of the world that this would be encompassed in. I guess this is like the fitness world. So I kind of just think if I do all of those things, money just comes. And it has. The business has grown from a monetary perspective. It's in a good position with regards to cash flow and debt. I think that's an important part for people to understand, that as much information and knowledge that goes into actually training people, if you want to be a business owner in the fitness industry, you have to understand the dynamics of an economy and supply and demand and cash flow and basic accounting principles and how to allocate resources and how to budget long term. We've done that. I've done the work to make sure that that's been the case, but I have never had that as my primary focus. Anybody in the organization can tell you that. I've never tried to take on sales strategies or market strategies that put money over the perception of a quality product. I've never done that. And I feel successful having been part of the growth of my own organization, having not had to sell out on my moral views about what training is and the value of a coach-athlete relationship and the sacredness of that teaching that happens. So I think really the conclusion of this is that there's no secret formula. And I don't mean there's people that get up there and they get on their podiums or their platforms and they say there's no secret formula to success. I find that a little bit arrogant because they're then saying that they are successful. And that's a really hard thing for me to claim because I feel like my success is transient. I put these 6 things that I want to do on a daily basis that make me successful, but some days I'm shitty at it. Some days I'm really pissed off because I worked so much that I don't have the 2 hours of time that I'm supposed to dedicate to go on the training floor and train, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I figure out what can I do? Can I go home and do movement work? Can I do movement work while I'm reading? Can I put a book on tape on in my room while I'm doing movement work and cram some of the time together and do something beneficial? But I feel like an absolute loser when I do that because I'm not even holding myself accountable to my own definition of success. So if people are asking me how to be successful, I find it funny because if you talk to me on 10 random days, 5 of them I might be like, yeah, I was successful today. And the other 5, I'm like, no, I can't teach you because I'm not successful. So if it's that transient for me, I think it's that transient for everybody. I don't have one metric, or, if I put an athlete on the top of the CrossFit Games podium. I'm not going to go from the day before being unsuccessful to that happening and thinking I'm successful. It's just going to constantly be a process I'm working on. So I think life has to evolve for you. And I think the best way to create that evolution is to define your success and define what you want. Once you define that, if you haven't been there, you need to find a leader that can at least guide you in the process and figure out like, well, how do I take the first step? Like, where do I start? I have this vision of what I want in the future, but I don't know like today where to put my foot on the path so that I get closer to that. So at a certain stage in your career, you need a mentor. You need somebody to teach you and somebody to lead you. Then as you start to transcend that, if you start to think that like, okay, I need to be independent, I need to be the leader of the organization, the first thing you have to do is have a team. I mean, I really can say with absolute certainty that I would be absolutely nowhere with regards to training Think Tank without an awesome team. And even this video is going to be produced by somebody that's really awesome, that is just come on board. And that process of just finding people to help push the vision forward just fires me up and engages me more and more and more. So for who's ever building their own organization, if they need to be the leader of it, you're only a function of how good your team is. Eventually, your resources get run thin and you can only prioritize what you do on a day-to-day basis that you're good at, and you have to delegate responsibilities. So find the team and go for the ride with them. It's such a nasty journey. Like there's highs and lows and shit happens that you weren't prepared for and money gets tight and all of this stuff happens that you didn't account for. But in the process of riding that wave, you have a group of people that can be there to support you along the journey and continue to push things forward, enjoy the highs with you, ride the lows with you. And when you do that, I think you already found success. You found some form of meaning that is more important than whatever it is that you're trying to attain at the end of your journey. So I think if you do that and you just get to work, there's so many lazy people out there. I remember when I was young, there's this really intense friend of mine's father, and he told me that all you have to do in life is show up, because people are lazy and they're just not going to keep showing up. And if you keep showing up, there is absolutely no way that you can't win. And I remember how profound that was, because I was like, man, that's such a negative view of humanity. Like, I think people are amazing. I think they're, that the human spirit could build pyramids and skyscrapers and all sorts of stuff. But I realized over time that it really does operate on some sort of a Pareto principle type distribution, that 20% of the people are moving the world and 80% of the people are just kind of, just hanging out, having fun, doing whatever it is. And whatever you want to do in your life is cool and you should do it. But if you want to cultivate whatever it is that you think success is, whether it's artistic discipline or a business discipline or an athletic discipline or a coaching discipline, you have to work. There is no way around that. And then, just remember that I don't know if it's for everyone, but I know for me with absolute certainty that success has been more of a journey than it has been a destination. And when I really allowed that to sink into who I am and how I operate on a day-to-day basis, things have just been moving even more rapidly for the business. So to conclude, I don't have an answer to how to be successful in the fitness industry, but I think if you apply these principles and you ask questions and you're introspective and you work hard and you're a good person and you provide value to humanity, that the net effect of your work over time will be that you find your own definition of success.